G'day fair folk, Random Rob here and welcome to Assassin's Creed Valhalla Part 7. If you enjoy this video, buy a lucrative farm that grows food to feed thousands of people, live a simple and noble life knowing that you are the reason so many people get to eat, then threaten to burn everything down, starving innocent people unless they subscribe to the channel. So we took a short staycation to Asgard, the realm of the Aesir, home to Odin, Thor, Freya, Tyr and Loki. And I know what you're thinking, that's just the castle from the Walt Disney intro, and I think you have a fair point. We assumed the role of Odin, the all-seeing, all-knowing deity, except instead of a hooded man with one eye missing looking like he's been squinting down a spy scope all day, we looked like ourselves. This raised an interesting moral philosophical question about the self, our identity, and whether or not Odin was actually me this entire time. We were confronted by the three wives of Dracula, but they were so ashamed of how far they had steered from the one true lord, Hugh Jackman, that they hid under robes with twig crowns. This was indeed the worst Coachella outfit that anyone could pick. The sisterhood of the traveling robes foretold of my demise, or Odin's demise, by the hands of a wolf which would bring forth the end of the universe, also known as Ragnarok. Our response to this epic warning was that fate could be altered, and I think that is a truly beautiful moment. The fact that even ultra-powerful beings are threatened by the idea of being eaten by a wolf large enough to consume the entire moon. It really highlights the fragility and mortality of us all. After reciting a name that would put Game of Thrones to shame,
I am the High One, the Lord of Ecstasy, the enemy of the wolf. I am eternal.
the feminist face decided that it was time to disappear into ash, probably thinking that disappearing into nothingness had to be better than listening to me spell out more syllables for identification. We then met up with Norwegian Mel Gibson, Icelandic Billie Eilish and Scandinavian Hugo Weaving as they discussed the most effective way to deal with the threat of the Jotun, giants from the Frost Realm. Naturally, Thor wanted to smash his way through with the electrified Mjolnir, Freya opted for diplomacy and Tyr did what he does best, deflect the decision onto me. I made the decision to take the fight to the enemy, to which Tyr completely changed his stance on how we should proceed, like a snail thinking he was brave enough to cross a salt plain, then realizing it's salt and thought, nah fuck it, I'm out. Before we could even begin, we were invaded by the same foes that we wished to attack first, like an ancient form of reverse Uno. We had to cross the Rainbow Bridge, but it just wasn't as much fun without Mario and his ragtag band of friends, but we persisted nonetheless. After generously gifting the battle to myself,
I gift this battle to myself,
and a seemingly never-ending run towards the light, we finally got to cracking some Jotun skulls. I'm not gonna lie, the intruders on the bridge were kind of tough, something that I did not anticipate. Luckily, Thor was nowhere to be seen and provided very little assistance, which made me feel much more confident that I was going to make it through on my own, because I am a badass Lady Odin who does not need the help and support of any man, even though he wanted this to begin with. Later on, we found Thor just standing on the top of a rock, and as he came crashing down onto a group of foes, eliminating them in one foul swoop, I couldn't help but wonder two things. First, how did he manage to get them to stand there and wait until we showed up so that he could look like a hero, even though he was less help to us than shoelaces made out of cheese? And two, how did he manage to look so good doing what he does best, smashing with his big hammer? I'm kidding, of course, that was not meant to be a sexual innuendo, and I'm certainly not encouraging a father to look at his mythical son in any sexual manner, but damn, he thick. We managed to reach the door that allowed these filthy intruders to get into the realm, but it was being guarded by a fairly strong and dank Jotun. I'm Blue, double D double die, laid down a magical floorball and proceeded to stab me, killing me in the process, after I successfully landed countless blows to him, I call hacks. I'm not just being a toxic player, I genuinely don't think he had the skills to surpass me in battle. After all, I just spent the past 20 minutes building my confidence in battle and proving that I'm independent, and he comes in and just wrecks me? After I reported him to Ubisoft for using illegal software, I chased him down again and employed a time and tested battle method that I knew would spell imminent victory for me. I circled around him and avoided the point sharpie metal thing at the end of his stick, a strategy that I can happily report as being quite effective in this case. Finally, I was able to forcefully render his head from his neck using his own weapon because I am a bad bitch like that. After closing the door to Jotunheim, we met with mythical Arnold Vosloo with a little bit more hair who claimed to have captured someone during the battle, judgmentally accusing them of being a coward when Loki was the one meant to guard the door in the first place. In a display of toxic masculinity, Loki tried to display his alpha side to the stranger, but we were having none of it because we are a progressive dimension. Concepts like the patriarchy and male dominance are so archaic. We discovered that the stranger was called the Boulder, and in a totally non-suspicious way, Loki changed his tune that we should keep him around rather than torture him for information. Even more conspicuously, Bob tells us he can help us keep the Blue Man Group from entering Viking Disney World, but he would need a bottle of water from the well. A reasonable request, I would think. We returned to Midgard, our earthly realm, where we decided to enact some positive change into the world and help those out that just won't help themselves. We would liberate a cruel mine and pillage its resources. This soldier was simply enjoying his lunch when we brazenly and unduly interrupted it with his death. We were almost caught by his friend, but the power of Legolas shone bright as we managed to thread the needle into his friend's eye socket. market. These two fine folk were just having a casual chat, sharing stories of war and bonding as a unit to increase morale when we exacted revenge, after which we had to disable their alarm system because, as they say, snitches get ditches. In an act of true altruism, we decided to take care of as many guards as possible before we liberated the miners, to limit their risk of being hurt or recaptured. We provided a selfless and courageous act of valor, taking all the risk onto ourselves, letting the freed workforce take some arrows so that we could get close for the kill. Clearing out the last of the oppressive system, the miners were free to return to their families and make up for lost time, while enjoying all that life has to offer, after they join my rebel army and overthrow the current leadership. Make sure to catch the next episode of Valhalla coming next week, and don't miss out as we carry on through Cyberpunk 2077 as well. How do you make sure you don't miss these? By hitting that like and subscribe button, and don't forget the bell icon. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.